All right, friends, it's T-Man. We are back with another Jason Blaha video, man. We're going to react to the gym lifting, recruiting, fitness sleeve himself, Jason Blaha, bro. So let's see what Blaha has to say. Blaha says, what are the signs of overtraining? I can't wait.
What are the signs of overtraining? Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. If you guys would though, please click like down underneath the video. If you aren't following or subscribed, please do so for me. And drop me a comment down under the video just to say hi or to give your thoughts. I would appreciate that so much. Thank you. All right, let's get over to the point. Look, I'm big on recovery, and I am one of those people who disagrees with this nonsense. And people say, oh, there's no overtraining, there's only under-eating and under-sleeping and blah, blah, blah. Look, this is provably false. Sports scientists, sports doctors have found this is a diagnosable medical condition. Serious athletes overtrain all the time, right? They reach overtraining syndrome, which has its own host of problems. People get rhabdo, to where when they're breaking down so much protein in their body, they start peeing blood out. Okay, people tear stuff. We rip stuff off the bone from overuse injuries.
Yeah, if you're asking me what is overtraining, if you're adapted overtraining, like coming in often to the gym and lifting, you're deteriorating is what you're doing. All these signs that you're getting, like tendonitis and pains in your joints and injuries and tears and shit, that's because you're deteriorating. Do you understand me? Yeah.
Things happen all the time. So when someone utters that nonsense, they do not know what they are talking about. And it's generally people who every time they start to feel a little overtrained, they just up the dose, bro. They just add another cc to the syringe.
Oh, so when they overtrain, they just add another cc to the syringe. Everybody's using syringes, right? Everybody's training and using syringes, injecting stuff in them. They're taking drugs. They're all drug addicts, like Blaha. Okay.
Add another couple pills to the stack. Okay, that's not an option for everybody. That's definitely
a couple pills to the stack, sure.
Not an option for people who are drug-free, and it's not an option for people who want to moderate their use if they aren't drug-free.
Is that because the supplement companies, they are not allowed to make supplements that work? Let me tell you something, bro. And I'm gonna mention this one more time. All the supplements that they make, a good majority of them, they work. Now, unless they're fake, but they all work. They just don't work for Blaha because Blaha doesn't build muscle. He doesn't damage muscle to build muscle. If muscle's damaged, then will the supplements work? Yeah. But they don't damage muscles for you and build them. That's why they don't work for him. Get it? See, he's upset because he says, well, BCAAs, they don't work. They're fake. Well, how can a BCAA, which is shit, man, it is amino acids. They work, but they don't damage muscles for you. They don't have hands and feet. They don't lift weights for you to damage them. You gotta damage them yourself. And he doesn't want to damage his muscles. He wants to, I don't know what the fuck he wants to do. He wants to lift, I don't know, against gravity, whatever. He's flying to the moon or something. He's going to the moon, Blaha.
So you can't just do that. Plus, that sounds good in theory till something breaks. We come over to that overuse injury side. You can't use that as a solution. You're burning the candle at both ends now. You're like, oh, I'm overtraining. I'm getting overuse signs, inflamed tendons. Let's add a drug to the mix that makes me feel better and stronger so I can push through, and it makes me stronger. Let's just snap some stuff. Bad idea.
Exactly. Blaha thinks that everybody out there is inferior like him. So they have to take these drugs because we're so inferior. We're so weak and everything. So we have to take drugs to impress people with a heavy lift, against gravity, concentrically lifting. So we can impress people out there because we're so unimpressive. Nobody sees us. Nobody notices us. My God, we have to be noticed because God forbid if somebody doesn't notice us, man. Jesus Christ.
All right, but back over.
It'll be the end of the world.
To the point, what are the signs and symptoms of overtraining? Some of it general lethargy, general fatigue, right? That's one of the things you're going to know.
You really want to know what the signs of overtraining is going to be? I'm going to tell you right now. So when people say aging, they say, well, you're aging. No, you're deteriorating faster than you're aging. You're deteriorating. So you are aging, yes. So let's just put it this way. You're going to look really aged. Get it? That's the signs of overtraining. You're going to deteriorate faster than you're naturally aging. That's what.
You're just not feeling your workouts. Okay, this is your nervous system kind of telling you it might be time to consider backing down a little bit. And I'm not telling you to deload. I'm not a fan of deloads. I'm telling you need to cut your volume and your intensity here. But that's usually a giveaway. You're starting to get real stale in those workouts. Even if you change something, well, let's change some exercises, you're still there. You don't get a pump as easily anymore. Coming in, you don't get a good pump. You don't feel the muscles the same. Those are big signs. All right. How about we start getting increased DOMs on the same programming? So that's a big one.
We get an increase of DOMs? Wait, I missed that part. Hold on. Let me see what he says here.
Good pump. You don't feel the.
Oh, he wants a good pump. There we go again. Man, I just don't get these people with this pump thing.
Muscles the same.
Is he growing boobs? He looks like he's growing boobs there.
Those are big signs, all right? How about we start getting increased DOMs on the same programming? So that's a big one.
How about if we get increased DOMs on the same program? You should be so lucky if you got DOMs, man. At least you've got some growth there. Time to go and eat. That's my suggestion. Go and eat.
And I usually tell people DOMs themselves, too regularly or really serious DOMs, is a sign that your programming itself isn't ideal. You might want to fire your coach. So one of the things to think about with this is, even if you get a little bit of DOMs every now and then, okay, but all of a sudden you didn't change.
Oh, if you get a little bit of DOMs now and then, it's okay. Man, bodybuilding is all about feeling. You have to go on your senses and feeling. That's what it is. If you're getting DOMs, that's a feeling. Now, you'll know if you got relatively a large amount of damage or a very minute amount of damage. Let's say their DOMs only lasted a day. Well, that's very minute, so that really isn't going to equate to very much muscle growth. So actually, that's not going to equate to any muscle growth. If it's a day, usually it's just a repair. It will forego the remodeling. Now, here's the thing. So let's say you got a good damaging session. Well, regardless whether you got it or not, if you do not eat afterward, and I mean a lot after that session, well, then it was a wasted session. See what I mean? And then after that, you have to still eat quite a bit, of course. But it's more important to eat right after a damaging session. And I mean astronomically high, bro. It is very important.
The program, you're doing the same work, same intensity, same volume, and you start getting more and more DOMs. All right, this is a problem.
Same intensity, same whatever, and you get more and more DOMs. Well, that's a problem. Not in bodybuilding. It's not, because bodybuilding is not a sport. That's why you get DOMs. It's compromises sport of performance because we're damaging muscles eccentrically. We're lifting astronomically heavy. Maybe he's talking about conventional lifting and you're increasing the intensity, so you're now overworking that muscle in the eccentric concentric. So the eccentric is getting overworked. So you're kind of bringing back this damage, yeah. Sometimes it happens accidentally. People just don't realize it.
These are signs that you're on the edge of overtraining. You're probably not overtraining.
Yeah. How do we damage muscle fibers? Well, overtraining. Overworking or overtraining. This word overtraining means the same thing. Overworking or overtraining that muscle in the full range of motion will get this muscle damage. You can still get that. Yeah, we know that. It's a known fact. Science will corroborate everything I say.
Yet, but you are approaching it. It is time to consider scaling back a little bit what you're doing. All right, as it progresses.
See? God forbid if you got some muscle growth, got to scale back a bit, can't get that muscle growth. But we're always building muscle according to Blaha. Just lifting, it magically builds out of thin air.
As it gets worse, what are you going to notice? All right, some other things.
Okay.
You're going to notice more inflammation around tendons and joints. right? You're going to have
Yeah, you are inflaming your muscles. That's why you look pumped. You are actually going to the gym just to inflame your muscles and walk around, pretend big. A lot of people do that. Like Blaha.
tendons that hurt more than usual, right? This is signs of overuse, localized overuse. Again, byproduct of certain aspects of overtraining, so definitely localized overuse. Your patellar tendons hurt, maybe your elbow tendons hurt. Things start to hurt. Joints start to hurt a little more, and you're starting to notice it. All right?
Yeah. They're hurting because you're deteriorating faster than you're aging. You're just like a factory worker, man. They're all deteriorated, dude. Look around.
Point where you're like, man, maybe I should put some sleeves or some wraps on it. Bad idea, by the way.
Look, man, you're not building if you're exercising in a gym. That isn't bodybuilding. Get it? See what I mean? That's not how bodybuilding works. But whatever, man. Who cares? I don't care.
Worst habit people have ever come up with. This is again how we end up.
I'm just reacting to the video. I don't care what people do out there. People can do whatever they want. Do what makes you happy. If you want to destroy yourself and overwork yourself, whatever, if you don't want to listen to real advice or real whatever information and stuff, then don't do that. Get it? Do whatever makes you happy, man. You understand me? So don't complain if you are deteriorating faster than you're aging by doing exercise, because exercise does not build muscles, bro.
Snapping stuff. All right, these are giveaways. This is a sign that there's problems. What we start seeing next beyond that, all right, immune system starts to go down. You get colds easier because overtraining will compromise your immune system. All the elevated cortisol will compromise your immune system. You're going to start sleeping less. You're going to start experiencing insomnia at night. You'll also notice if you get your resting heart rate checked, your resting heart rate will be elevated a considerable amount. So if you're normally 60 or 70, it might be like 90, 85, something like that. Your resting heart rate will go up. At the most extreme ends, you will start getting muscle cramping at night. When you are trying to sleep at night, things like your hamstrings or your lower back will start cramping and wake you up in the middle of the night. Okay? You will also, around the time you start getting those cramps, you will absolutely see a decline in strength. Meaning, no, you won't just stall, because stalls happen. Your strength will start to go down. So in other words, let's say you can normally, bench 275 for 5 reps, right? Let's say that's like a really heavy solid work set for you. Or you can do, 225 for 10 to 12 reps. You come in, you try to get 225 or 10 to 12, you get like 5 reps and get stapled. Like a spotter's having to grab the bar on rep 6 because you can't.
Oh, brother, man. Listening to Blaha is like listening to these amateur people that never learned how to lift, bro. This guy doesn't know anything about lifting. It's incredible. Like, who is this guy? Who is this joker?
You
need to know. Listen, a professional person in lifting knows everything about lifting. When I talk to people in the gym and stuff and I tell them, do you know sarcoplasmic hypertrophy? And they're like, no, what is that? How the fuck could you not know that going to a gym? You're going there to lift weights and you don't even know the difference between I even tell them myofibrillar growth and they're like, what's myofibrillar growth? What's sarcoplasmic? And then I tell them about eccentric exercise. I say, there's these modalities. It's called maximal overloads. So like submaximal overload, supramaximal, and accentuated eccentric exercises. There's eccentric, eccentric builds muscles, concentric doesn't. They're like, what are you talking about? Bro, they fucking don't know anything, not even these fucking fitness gurus online. It's crazy how they don't know anything, bro. It's insane. I don't know what's the matter with people. They're really brain dead out there. I have no clue.
Lift it. It just sticks on your chest.
Sticks on your chest, does
275, let's say you can do it for 5, you come in and that first.
This guy's a goober. Me personally, I told you, I haven't lifted for decades. And I still look like a bodybuilder. See what I mean? But I had been going through some hard times. But I still look like a bodybuilder. And even though I'm going through hard times, I'm trying to fix my problems. At least I'm trying to fix them. Mostly fixed a lot of it. Looking much better for sure. But, it's a learning lesson. Everything is in life, really. If you don't go through these trials and things, how the fuck are you supposed to learn? But Blaha, he's not willing to try anything, to do anything. He doesn't know anything.
Rep feels like a 1 rep max, and you grind it out, and you're like, man, what happened? Right? Deadlift, let's say you deadlift, whatever, 500 pounds, and you're warming up, you grab 405 and it sticks on the floor. You have to go back and make a second try to break it off the floor.
Okay.
And you're like, dude, this is like 80% of what I deadlift. All right? These are all clear signs of overtraining. If you are experiencing these, this is the progression of it. But what we see on the front end, you're not motivated when you get to the gym. Your motivation is down. You need to start taking a...
You're not motivated going to the gym because you're not producing results. And you're like, but I'm working so hard. It's not about working harder. You don't get results going in often to a gym working hard. You understand me? That's not how it works.
Pre-workout, extra caffeine, you got to crank the music up. Okay, this is not a good sign. This is a sign the fatigue management's getting bad. All right? So that's your first signs. You're losing motivation and you don't get a pump.
Whoa, you're losing motivation, broski. You don't get a pump. Wow, you really need that pump. Like, it's so important. Not necessarily. It's maybe it's a good thing to have if you're trying to build, but you don't really need it. Not really, really. See what I mean?
Again, you don't get the pump. You don't feel the muscles working to the same degree, right? You start getting a little more sore. These are the early warning signs.
You start feeling a little sore. We're not talking about Dom sore. He's probably talking about sore. You overworked soreness. Okay.
Like, this doesn't mean that you are overtrained yet. Just an FYI, it means you're on your way. And it's time to start adjusting, start changing things. Because in the long term, like, actual serious overtraining is a medical issue, and a worst case can put you in a hospital. And again, overtraining also, particularly at the overuse side for injuries, can eventually snap tendons or cause such severe tendonitis that you have to use sleeves or wraps for 6 months just to train that joint. Okay, this is a problem. This is stuff that we could avoid by just a little bit better fatigue management. And keep in mind, I'm not telling you guys not to train hard. You guys see me squatting 500 pounds as a 48-year-old man. Believe me, I believe in hard training.
Oh, he believes in hard training. You see him squat all that weight. And for what purpose are you squatting all that heavy weight for? Where are you going to transfer it to? For what purpose are you doing that? For what? Are you a mover or something? Are you practicing at lifting heavy furniture or some shit? You're going to lift it by yourself? Even people that work in companies, they all have help lifting things, moving things around because they're big objects. They're either too long or something. They can't handle it themselves. So, blah is ridiculous, man.
Your body has limits and you have to respect them. And if you don't respect those limits...
The body has limits, and if you don't respect it, they do have limits. So why are you taking steroids? It's going above the limit. See what I mean? You're lifting above your limit. You have a small, weak body. You took a steroid, and now your force production has increased exponentially on a weak body, which has not built any muscle. You understand me? Your body will only allow you to get stronger naturally, providing you put on muscle. If you don't put on muscle, you can't lift heavier. That's why I know a lot of people online are faking their lifts. It's not hard to figure it out. There's a lot of people, they want to impress you. I'm deadlifting 500. I'm pressing 300. I'm benching over 400. Yeah, they're doing all these things. And meanwhile, they didn't build any muscle. You see what I mean? They say they're lifting it naturally. I don't know. On your natural frame without muscle, I don't know. Depends on how much muscle you build. See what I mean? It all depends naturally on muscle, how strong you get, how much you can build, how much you can lift. Really, it's based on muscle. Now, then it's based on force production. So now concentrically, you start getting more force production lifting concentrically, practicing at it. Now your body is not building any more muscle. And that's when you run into problems. You're weak on the eccentric because you didn't build any muscle. And people get injured all the time lifting concentrically because their bodies are weak. But it'll only take you so far. But then when you take steroids and you don't build any more, and you're not building any more muscle, you're getting sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, just blowing up like a balloon, like a pincushion. And now you're lifting even heavier on a weak body without muscle. Now you're really prone to injuries, and that's why they're always getting injured, these steroid people. So it even gets worse. It gets worse. And then they have all these joint problems later in life. You know, after the drugs and stuff, go see these people off their drugs, how they have so many joint problems and this and that, whatever. They have all kinds of serious problems, man. They're all crippled and shit, like Ronnie Coleman and stuff. Oh, some of them, they were lucky. They came out early. They retired early or whatever. The old school, so-called old school people, they only did cycles before the Olympia or something. They didn't do a lot of shows. But later, as time progressed, these people were doing shows for money. They were doing it like it was a full-time job. Well, these old school bodybuilders, they had jobs, get it. And then they only showed up for the Olympia or something, or Mr. Universe. So they had one contest out of the year or something. But whatever, man. It is what it is. I don't care.
Your body will make you respect them, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, when you cripple it, it'll make you respect it because you won't be able to do any lifting anymore. I'll see you in the next video. Tell us what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Blah is ridiculous.